You're listening to I'm Telling You. You're listening to I'm Telling You.
Hey, welcome back to I'm Telling You.
I'm telling you.
What's up, fam? How y'all doing?
Me? Or are you talking
Dude,
to everyone else?
them. They're supposed to respond right now. Well, that's all right.
Wait, we'll give a moment of silence for your response.
Dude, you already ruined it.
Oh,
This is Philly D.
Mr. Gemini.
Clickety clack, a fact checker, Miss JD.
Yeah, and this is I'm Telling You. And as always, we like to say, hey, please hit us up, talk to us, continue this conversation, slip into our DMs. You can hit us up at ITY
at directionsandmusic.org.
or individually at GEMINI at directionsandmusic.org.
Or you can hit me up at Philly D PHILLY at directionsandmusic.org. Jinx.
Oh, now I can't talk. Oh, you get to beat me up. That's all right. It's like two for flinching. But yeah, for first-time listeners, this is a 30-year conversation between bestest of friends. We are the two best friends that anyone could have.
Two idiots.
Yeah, two nobody's talking about nothing.
Drinking, hanging out.
Dad quotes, movie jokes.
Well, not drinking a lot, but you know.
Movie jokes, dad quotes. I mean, sometimes we do. When Reese is on. I'm sorry, when Reese is on.
And then we had to bring in someone else to try and keep us corralled because
Oh yeah, now we have our fact checker
they're
extraordinaire.
off the rails.
Yeah, dispenses. Yeah, off the hook.
Off the hook? That's not a good thing.
Yeah, well, we were never in aisle 4.
It wasn't me.
Speaking of drinking, I'm gonna have to go ahead and.
Crack-a-lackin'?
That's how you know it's me. Does it burn? Yeah, that's how you know it's working.
So when you ever stop drinking, like people aren't going to know it's you?
No, cracking beers. I don't have to drink them. I just got to crack them. Those are the rules. You know, I crack the beer. They're like, oh, it is him. It's how it's like my signature. Because I mean, they can't see me. This is how radio works. You're aware of this, right? Like they can only hear us. They can't like.
Well,
and we can't.
There are
hear
things
them,
in the works. I mean,
there are things.
There are things in the works. I
can see you.
That's kind of creepy.
Okay. The call is coming from inside the house.
The call is coming from in the house. I just remembered.
Oh, that was delicious. Yeah. I do like drinking beer with you though. I don't drink as often as I have been. So now I'm like,
But when I do drink.
Yeah, but when I do, I drink with you. It's like, you know,
I keep forgetting to return that.
When we thanks. Yeah, when we make it out for like lunch and like meet up and stuff, we have like a beer or two together. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, I mean, there's after 30 years, I mean, unless we're recording something, there's no need to fill the silence with something. We could just kind of sit there and comment on what's on the TV or our day or your golf game or whatever and just
Dude, that's what we talk about on the mic.
Have a good time. Yeah, well, that's the beauty of it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we're going to have these conversations.
We did mention
regardless.
that before, though, that this is just the same conversation. We get snippets of it. That's it.
Just keeps on going. We are the Energizer Bunny of talk shows.
Just like we
keeps going.
We talk off air, usually via group text. And
yeah,
there's always some kind of interesting something. And some of them I've seen before. You know, the little short videos and stuff like that. But I just got that 2.5 hour one just running through my head like crazy right now, though.
Well, so I mean,
there was an immense amount of like hot button points in there.
Oh, yeah, right.
Like things that I've already thought about and I know we've spoke about before, and they were all linked together in one conversation. I was just like, this is awesome.
Yeah, that's what I had gotten through like the first 20 or 30 minutes of it. And yeah, because I mean, we was talking about the Book of Enoch and, you know, I mean, the different.
Well, the basis of the conversation.
Like thought, or, you know, what would be known as thought. And like, so I mean, they got into pre-Sumerian stuff, you know what I mean?
It was the Hermetic principles, the Kybalion, what did they call it?
Kybalion, yeah, I think so. Yeah, Kybalion.
Just a little
You ain't got no alibi.
It just helps smooth things over. That's.
But where's your dad light? Your dad joke lights
it's
a trigger.
flashing.
Yeah, it is. disco dancing.
No, but I mean, I found all that so fascinating, and just to know there's someone out there that gets it on the same level that I do. I mean, it's not a ridiculous thought, but it's just nice when you find someone like that like it's all important, all of it. Like, that's the weird thing. Like, when you start listening to a conversation like that, you're like, it's all connected. It's all truly part of the same thing. It's just different. It's like the different aspects of it. You know, it's like a diamond just doesn't have two faces. It has many.
This is why I've always believed in the idea of it doesn't matter what your belief system is, as long as you have one, and that keeps you focused on things, and, you know, keeps your moral compass set in what would be the correct path for you. That's my only problem,
if that's what it's doing.
Well,
or if it's giving you a reason to kill your neighbor, like, then maybe.
But that's not what I'm talking about.
Right, absolutely. Like, if you're on a path of self, you know, well, I don't even know what to say, of self improvement or
self-discovery.
I mean, there's probably a whole list of things that you could put under that self, you know, realization, self-actualization.
But I was more on the point of every single one of the belief systems where it is for the betterment. It's to have that communal living for yourself and all things. You know, when you truly love yourself and all things, no matter what the belief system is, they all have relative congruent ideas of be good to yourself and be good to everyone else. You know, it's just we're saying things different ways, and that's where we get caught up in the logistics of the frickin', yeah. You know, it's like, oh, well, this is...
But no, I mean, no matter what book you're reading, I mean, people have used that to incite riot, war, a genocide, all kinds of things, using something that was supposed to be a yoke to help us live with each other.
Basic instructions before leaving Earth.
I mean, basic, exactly. I mean, really, but we're I don't know, and I don't want to get on a soapbox, but like, and most people are so focused on the surface of the story itself instead of understanding that parable is told to try and explain something of deeper meaning.
But that's what I'm saying
behind that story.
Well, because even in like Buddhism, you know, the stories of Buddha, as well as like any of your any Eastern philosophy, you know, like Taoism, you know, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it doesn't matter what the belief system is. It doesn't matter if there is a God or isn't a God, or, you know, it's every single component really is be good to yourself, be good to everyone else.
That was another thing that I found so fascinating, and not, and I wouldn't call this religious talk, but some of the stuff that Robert Edward Grant was talking about in the Aubrey Marcus. I don't want to call it interview, because they do the same thing we do. It's just a conversation. It's like
it's
like they have a basic idea where they wanted to go, and it kind of
exchanging of ideas.
But some of the stuff that Robert Grant was talking about was like right up my alley. I mean, I can't even describe like how like invigorated I was to hear, but somebody that's so excited about learning. I mean, he considers himself to be a modern day Renaissance man. If there is such a thing as that anymore, and they describe that, like, to be a true philosopher, you have to have, you know, the physical, the mental, the, like, you know, you have to round out all your sciences. You have to know how to play music. You have to have gone around the whole circuit of sciences to get back to the, you know, that is the point where you're truly a philosopher, because it's the proof is in the pudding. I mean, philosophy means love of wisdom, philosophia.
Yeah.
For those that didn't know.
That's awesome.
As opposed to philonokia, Nikia, which is where Nike comes from, which is the love of victory.
Is that the phone?
Nokia, not Nokia. I misspoke there. Because I had no philo for Nokia. So I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, that's funny.
Every time you drop that shit, it popped in like 3 pieces.
But dude, that's why I like the idea, because we've talked about Thoth before, where one of the understandings or translations or alternate expressions of Thoth is thought, which was one of the main points to all that is, it's in your head, kind of going back to that KRS-One thing, trying to explain the fifth dimension. It's like, dude, when you talk to yourself in your head, you're not using your voice. So how are you making a sound for your ears to hear you? So how are you speaking to yourself? Like, how is that possible? It was a way of trying to
prove that there's another dimension above, conscious reality.
The physical plane of three-dimensional, four dimension with time, that there's, another layer outside of that. And if there's one outside of that, there's probably another one outside of that, and so on and so on. I mean, I feel like everything would be infinite,
But at the same time, I mean, it's weird when you think about it layered on. How could it be layered on? But think about how many things are layered on right now in existence that truthfully are nothing more than a frequency, and it's all layered.
Well, see, and I've made that statement before, where we can express ourselves as molecules resonating at certain frequencies that cause them to have mass, or become solid, or this is how you can make a rock. They say a rock isn't alive. It's like, dude, those things that's vibrating molecules. Those are atoms constructed together that are holding themselves. Like, how is that not alive? Maybe it's not conscious as we would call it. Maybe there's not a spirit.
Well, what is that? And that goes back to series 1, for crying out loud.
Yeah, man.
The conversation about what is consciousness and what contributes to it, and is there consciousness in a rock? Is there, if you want to take it to the nth degree, technically there is, because it's a group of molecules that for whatever reason have clung together, and they have a memory, and they have a recording of history, if you think about it that way.
Right.
That there's information there. There's an intelligence there, but it's not like what you would think of as consciousness per se. Like a conscious being aware of the fact that they're aware of themselves.
Remember when we watched the movie, was Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Oh man, that was trippy.
When the mom and the daughter became rocks. Yeah. And they're like sitting on a cliff, not moving, talking to each other.
Yeah.
But why can't that be a possibility? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that, to me, the idea of this.
Well, and that's when you start talking about dimensions. It's like, that's how they can be stacked on top of each other. Because if you think about it, I think it was Stephen Hawking that was saying that, like, he discovered 12 dimensions just within our current reality. I mean, never mind if you start going into the multiverse, then you're talking about dimensions on dimensions, and they're all stacked, and it's like a crystalline structure if you think about it.
Yeah, or a neural network.
Well, yeah, the neural network is a whole nother conversation.
I mean,
but yeah, everything is one though.
That's what I'm saying.
Everything is one.
One love.
And that was the really fascinating thing, and that I really enjoyed about listening to the conversation between R.B. Marcus and Robert Edward Grant.
Why'd you guys say it like that?
Because Robert E. Grant. I don't know.
Yeah, but you were like, you had an inflection in your voice.
Robert Edward Grant.
Picture, if you will. Is that what it is? Is that how it goes down?
Fascinating.
It's so fascinating.
Fascinating.
And they died. That's crazy. Would you? What?
No, I'm just checking to make sure everybody's still here. That's all.
You focus here.
Focus.
Yeah, this is where you're at.
No, I got it.
Yeah.
Present.
Fry.
Graham motherfucker.
Oh, you. Dude, that's,
motherfucker. Yes, I am.
Yeah, that was the end of the third one, the American Pie wedding. Yeah, which I actually just watched American Pie Reunion the other week.
Oh, did you?
Dude, I think it's a funny franchise. Like,
that's another one of those acting groups that kind of like they'll stick together to some extent, you know.
But I think, just like kind of in the John Hughes
like Broken Lizard
idea, they really do express a more realistic view, albeit some outlandish stories. However, I think they're very comparable or parallel of what it would be as they would go from high school into college, into, being married, kids, that whole thing. So, I mean, it paints a, albeit slapsticky, very honest depiction of what, most of us as humans go through.
I mean, do you think there's a connection between all those stories too? Because didn't Molly Ringwald play two different characters, technically growing up in that same town, and one was in Sweet Six, right?
16 Candles, 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink.
Yeah.
Also, Breakfast Club.
Obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't she in St. Elmo's Fire? No, that was the.
But I'm saying, was there a commonality between that character and all those roles? Was that?
I believe so. Yeah, there was.
She always kind of played the same. Maybe it wasn't Claire, but I'm just saying.
Someone of that understanding. Yeah, you're
Claire.
Well, you're just your typical teenage. Your typical teenage.
You just rolled your eyes.
Your typical teenage,
angsty.
Young woman. Yeah. Well, not so much angsty, but just, trying to comply and be a good little girl, as we would say back in the day. Like, oh, you're a little girl.
Goody two shoes.
Yeah. So of course you're supposed to be like a little prissy and be like, oh, I'm waiting for my knight in shining armor. Like she was, the typical American teenage young lady is the idea. And that's what I'm saying is like,
that used to be the ideal, but it's not the ideal anymore.
I mean, I don't know if that should have been the ideal. I think all of those,
it's gotten so confusing anymore. I just don't even.
To me, when you have a system built on having to depend on somebody else, it's probably the wrong system, because you should be depending on yourself. And once you can do that, then you can give it out to others and find the ability to depend on others and be humble and say, hey, yes, I could use this help. But you got to do it for yourself first. Otherwise, you won't truly believe or accept what's given to you.
That was one thing, because occasionally when we're not on the air, I think about obviously topics that we could bring up that would spark, a conversation. And one of the thoughts I was thinking recently was like, if you could come up with a short list of things, like maybe one or two things that you would tell your younger self to try and improve them, assuming that they would listen, obviously.
You mean if I can go back to like when I was 18 and be like, bro, know these two things, go do it.
2, 3. I mean, if you want to make it around 3, the magic number, or.
I mean, I'll be honest, I wouldn't do that because I really enjoy who I am and where I'm at in my life right now. And I feel that what I have, I've truly earned, which is why I can come across as cocky, because I have the confidence in saying, hey, this was given to me because I asked for it and earned it. I had to walk the walk.
Well, yeah. No, I appreciate that. So you're not even going to entertain it as a.
No, I wouldn't, because I mean
things that maybe you struggled with learning, and then you're like, damn, if only I had done this from the beginning, I would have been fine. And
again, I'm in the belief system that when I learned those lessons, it's because, well, not only it had to happen, but I was also at a place where I could perceive it, so I could truly gain from it.
Well, I mean, I think I would keep it simple. I think if I was to come up, I could come up with one really easy right off the bat.
Dude, I would just don't be a douche.
No. And even simpler and more removed than that. Because what I've learned as I've gotten older is that focusing on and trying to improve your inner is going to improve everything around you. I mean, that's the only place you can actually change anything. Right? I mean, if you want to Marcus Aurelius that shit, you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's why I'm
the only thing you actually physically have control over to some extent is your own actions, intentions, speech,
That's why I love the 4 agreements.
But what you can't control is the outcome.
Well, of course
the only thing you can control is how you.
Well, that's why it goes back to the 4 agreements on that, because even if you put it out there and this is what it is, and you get an alternate outcome from what you thought, well, you shouldn't have thought it. You're not supposed to put it out there. You're not supposed to assume.
Well, no, you're supposed to just let it go. I mean, that's.
Well, but that's one you're not even supposed to assume, which means that you shouldn't walk into a situation saying, hey, this is what it's going to be like.
No, I'd like it. That's what you're really saying, is I'd like it to go this way. Well,
I mean, most would say you're projecting what you want. And so because you're programming your brain to do this, it's going to make actions to have that outcome come about. As you modify your thoughts about this, because, as you think about it more and more and more, that's why you should never assume.
But if I had the ability to go back to my younger self, and I probably would go before 18, I'd probably go, because I was pretty interested in some, like the stuff that I like to talk about with you, like when I get on these rants about this kind of content. I used to think about these things before I even knew any of this stuff was written down somewhere in books. Like, I had no idea. I mean, I told you I used to meditate in the playground when I was a kid in elementary school. So, I mean, I might go back to a really young self, maybe 10, 15, doesn't have to be 18, but if there was one thing, I would just say, love yourself more, man. Just love yourself more.
See, I think
that was the biggest stumbling block. I mean, and I would say probably for most people, is that if you can overcome like all your silly idiosyncrasies and all your foibles, your mistakes, you know what I'm saying? That would be, if there was one thing that an attentive me at a younger age going, oh my God, it's me from, 2022 or whatever, like you think you'd pay attention, right? Like, dude, I'm you from the future. And there's one thing I got to say, man, love yourself. I mean, that's going to be an impactful, you know what I'm saying?
I just got Bill in heads when Rufus shows up for the first time.
You see how movies affect us though? I mean, I do the same thing. I could be on a thought and it'd be like a song will pop into my head or a scene from a movie. And like you see it playing in your head. What is that?
The fifth dimension.
Right. Right?
That's what I'm saying.
And where's it coming from?
Out there. Whatever out there is.
I mean, it's my frequency that I'm on, right?
Exactly, Kenneth.
And what is the frequency, Kenneth?
But see, and this is where I think each one of us is like, we resonate on a different frequency for each plane. And because I mean, this is the one thing I think that Aubrey was talking about, that the way he was explaining it, where you can, when you have that ability to kind of cross over, the Akashic records, as we've called it, you almost have this ability in a sense that you get to be a part of, almost like virtual reality style, where you can exist within that idea. Meaning that if you can tap into what we again call the Akashic records, you could tap into what it was to be.
Well, the Akashic record sits on one particular plane of reality, but there's many above that I believe Aubrey has already surpassed.
Well, so what he was talking about is how you have the ability to go into, say, Napoleon, and you can resonate on that frequency. Yes. And have images of that and recall memories from that, because that in and of itself is an existence. However, you as your spirit was not Napoleon. You were merely just like virtual reality style, just kind of tapping into that.
Like being John Malkovich.
In a sense.
You just kind of willed yourself into that frequency.
But he was talking about through
his eyes, maybe had an understanding of what was going on at the time and why.
Well, and that's another part of the whole fifth dimension, is because we can utilize that to learn lessons. So he's saying if you can get to this plane or frequency of, these Akashic record style things where stuff is stored as crystalline, information, then you can literally tap into being Napoleon without actually have been him.
In simplest terms, it's a pattern is all it is. I mean, you could call it a vibration. You could call it a frequency vibration. You could call it I don't even know what
a structure, a system.
Yeah.
A mass, a collective. That's what I'm saying is, when it comes down to the semantics of things, that's where we seem to get lost as a society, because we can't all agree on the terminology.
Well, I mean, words are sloppy at best, though. I mean,
see, this is why I like being, back in the day, you had to be impeccable with your words. Yeah. Because every word has an exact expression. And when you're in that moment or expressing that moment, you were supposed to use that exact word. Like, that's the great thing about language, is you can have I mean, especially like even with
one word can express many.
Well, think about it. I mean, in like
Emotions,
Japanese and
trigger
Chinese,
memories.
all the different Asian kind of writings where they're more or less using like hieroglyphics, they're using characters. So they don't technically have an alphabet. They just have a symbol for words or phrases or, and you can combine them. And I mean, it's the same kind of system. It's just in drawing form instead of letter form, which is still the same thing because you still have these lines and these shapes.
Which,
and
strangely enough, probably you could draw back as far as Sanskrit. Because really, a lot of the characters you're talking about were developed as it's sort of a pictogram.
You're a pictogram.
Thank you. But there is that's one language I wouldn't even deign to try and study.
It was a cuneiform or whatever,
Well,
right?
like no, but I mean doing like any of the Japanese or Chinese or Japanese or Chinese. Sorry,
I'm Laotian.
I'm from Laos.
I'm from Laos. It's a landlocked country in Southeast Asia. So are you Chinese or Japanese?
I just totally derailed myself. That's awesome.
That's a hilarious idea. Yeah, I mean that will happen.
Because I guess there's a standardized form like a Mandarin, right? And which is mostly like the symbols mean either words or phrases or consonants or vowels. Like I don't even know how it works, but
I believe it's words and phrases.
But there's a basic language that you can learn in a couple years, but you could spend a lifetime learning Chinese and still learn new glyphs, symbols, whatever you call them. You'd still learn new ones or not be aware of them.
That's the same as our language.
In just a slightly different way. Yeah, it's just because I don't recognize it the same way. It's not a phonetic language like ours is.
Well, correct, but in a sense, it still is. Like it's still representing the same ideas. It's still expressing, a word or thought. It's just now instead of it being, linear like a line, it's bunched up and rolled into a single character, and it can express a very deep idea. Because that's the thing is you can put a couple of words together and make a completely different phrase, and it's all symbolism.
I showed you all that stuff about the Meru Foundation, right?
The what?
The one guy who
I didn't hear.
Went into detail. Like he has several lectures on explaining what he believes is the process of how the Hebrew language came about, and that all the ancient languages actually use a derivation of the same symbols to mean the same things, because in his belief, the symbols were pictograms in a way of how you would. It was a certain shape, and the way it's really hard to wrap your mind around.
You're making a lot of sounds, but you ain't saying nothing.
He would say if you were to make a solid line to show all the motion within a vortex, basically, and how it wraps around itself like a torus shape, right? If you were to make one line that would symbolize the motion going all the way through, like a full rotation around this.
Isn't the torus like a donut, but it like rotates like horizontally and vertically, so it like turns in on itself, but also rotates.
It turns in on itself
manner.
and basically flips and reverses as it goes through itself, and then comes out the other side anew. And it's constantly doing that,
almost like an infinity symbol.
Well, there are those out there that believe that is the shape of the universe. That it's basically another term for it is the Klein bottle. If you've ever seen that, it's almost like an impossible structure. But the idea is based on
the never-ending stairs.
Well, the idea is based on, you ever seen like you cut a strip of paper and you give it a twist and then hook it together again, and it's technically a one-sided object.
Yeah, but it's got,
because if you run your finger along the surface, it will cover every inch of that surface without you don't have to lift your finger, and you can actually touch both sides of the paper.
Yeah.
It's basically that in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to trace, he said, if you were to trace like you imagine yourself as a speck traveling along that route, it makes a certain shape. That shape is where all the glyph symbols for the Hebrew language came from, in Assyrian and Aramaic, and apparently there's a whole list of languages that kind of derivated somehow through, I mean, it's just nature. I mean, people had to learn an early way to communicate with each other, and they did it through using a language of hand gestures. And those hand gestures, this is the most interesting part of this, those hand gestures, depending on how you would view them as you're doing them, holding that shape in your hands would determine what the letter looked like as you looked at it. So it was basically you were taking that same shape and flipping it completely around, depending on how you're holding it, doing this. And he believes, this guy I was telling you about, believes that there initially was a dance to teach you the alphabet. And it was the alphabet, if you look at it, and he shows you, he explains it really well. He's like, you're literally seeing this shape is the same as that shape, but you're cutting off certain parts because it's how you would view it. If you were holding this shape and that's why I said it's a lot to understand. It's even harder to explain.
I'm picking up what you're laying down.
But if you think about it, it sort of makes sense. And how did they come across this? And does it matter? I don't.
Well, see, to me, the idea
you had to. There was no way to write down anything. Somebody at some point had to figure that out. Doesn't it make sense that it would be based on gestures that you would make? You know, like we have hand gestures that
I know the finger goose
that explain all sorts of different. You could say, hey, you know, you tilt your hand towards your lips and it's like, hey, I'm thirsty, I need something to drink. Like that,
there's universal signs.
There's universal signs like that. And that his theory is that the entire dance was based up of ways that you would need to communicate something to somebody. So it was like they were all descriptive things of actions that, you know what I'm saying? It's but it's a lot to wrap your head around.
So the image that came to me was two different things. One, do you remember the show? What the heck was it? The OA, which was like the original Angel.
I've seen the ads for it, but I don't think I've ever watched it.
Well, within that, there was a specific order of dance moves that you would have to do syncopated with 5 individuals, and you could literally open a tear in time and move to an alternate, or parallel universe.
Is that not exactly what we're talking about?
Well, though? And the other thing that popped in my head is, if you think about it, like witches casting spells, they've depicted it in the sense of dancing around fire and chanting specific things. So now you're talking about the physical representation as well as an audible representation. So, those are the images that popped in my head with that kind of an idea.
And it's
which that makes sense.
How much of that witchcraft is just poor PR? Like, bad naming. Like, how is that any different from prayer? When you go to the church, there's song and dance, and it changes lives. Yeah. I'm not to say, like, I don't care what belief system you have.
That's what I was saying.
Working, right? Exactly.
As long as you're being good to yourself and everyone else, then it's probably a good thing. And all of those ideas are very congruent in like all things.
Witchcraft, but they used to consider like reading, especially if you read anything other than the Bible, it was sinful. There were times in. I mean, maybe we're going back more medieval, but especially if you were female, you weren't even allowed to read. So I always thought it was interesting that when you talk about like spellcraft and the word spelling, which is what? To take letters and put them together into words, which you can form sentences, which you can express idea with, is a spell. Because your words have... No, I'm serious.
Just the way you...
Because your words have power.
Like, I've just expressed this to you in such a succinct manner. You get this, right? Spelling. It's like, okay. Got you, bro.
Right. I mean, you're casting a spell when you're formulating words and you're making sentences and you're crafting, right? You're trying to get a certain expression that you have inside out to the rest of the world. Then
that's why I like
you are casting a spell.
That's why I like the Spanish conjugar, to play with, to conjugate. That's what conjugar means, is to conjugate. It's to smash up. It's to modify. It's to, prefix, suffix, root words, and putting it all together with.
Right, to play with it.
Yeah, to literally play with.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah, man.
Conjugar, to play with.
Conjugar.
So
CONJUGAR.
Yeah. I did play with because in most every other language, the descriptive comes before the word.
The English is backwards. That's why it's one of the hardest languages to learn, which is why speaking English as a root is difficult to learn other languages, because you have to think backwards.
Yeah.
But they're all based in Latin, so it's like, whatever, man.
True.
Yeah, that is
true.
Once you get through the base on most stuff and you start to see those connections, it's easier to learn more languages. Like your brain just works that way now.
This is true.
Yeah, I really
learning the second.
I need to practice my Spanish more.
Learning the third language is always easier than learning the second one.
And doing the fourth, the fifth, and the
right.
That's why typically when you have people, there's very few bilinguals, in the sense of once you start to learn languages, usually you pick up on like a third or a fourth. You may not be fluent in them, but
if you hear a conversation, you may go, I kind of got half of that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why most aren't bilingual in that sense, because usually if they do, they start picking up on other stuff too. So by the time, you get to a certain age, you're speaking more than just two languages. Like it's natural.
Is it natural?
Yeah, just speaking one language it's not natural. It's not.
But Latin only covers one part of the world, though.
There's also Greek. I know. I like that salad. It's really good.
There's, the Slavic languages, which are completely different.
What did you call me?
Slavic.
I just took a shower, I swear. Yeah, no, I get that.
The food, Tina.
I do like. We did talk about Napoleon earlier. Now we talked about Napoleon Dynamite. Interesting.
It all comes around.
No.
What goes around comes around.
Picture, if you will. No,
that was it. Just picture.
Picture, if you will.
Here's a picture.
Here's a picture. I'd like to see that camera.
Here's a picture of me when I'm older. Yo, man. Everybody always says, here's a picture of me when I was younger. Yeah.
Dude, I don't know.
Obviously.
I always like being behind the camera, not in front of it.
Or as kids say these days, Obby.
Dude, if anybody ever said that to me, I'd probably hit them.
Well, they're my children, so I can't.
I mean, let me know. I'll hit them for you.
I could, but that wouldn't be right.
Just once, just to see how it feels. That's what she say to mine all the time. I'm like, babe, just let me hit you just once, just to see how it feels. She's like, no. I was like, damn it, you're never gonna let me do this, are you? I would threaten to beat my house all the time. It was empty threats every single time.
It was a game you were playing. It wasn't really.
Oh, pretty much. Yeah. By the end of the, when she was in her teen, she just look at me and just be like, and just like walk away. I was like, that was a fake laugh, by the way.
You deserve a slap, and you know this.
I don't know. My kid's always been pretty good. We've always been very
the rod,
open.
spoil the child.
Well, we were communicators. It was very important that it was to express yourself and to accept and include, and we've always done that from the get-go. So she's never had to act out because
you feel a draw towards the other way of raising kids because of the way you were raised. Because we were raised old schools ish. If we did something wrong in public, we got a quick wallop.
But see, here's the thing though. It's like, to me, there are certain attitudes that if you're not catching the drift, then yeah, maybe I need to hit the reset. So I'm not advocating, hitting by any means, but sometimes the jukebox is broken and you got to get it to stop skipping
the record.
I'll
explain it to you. Don't worry about
but, I'm just saying, like,
neither one of us was really, really beat.
Speak for yourself, bro.
All right. Well, maybe he was kind of beat, but
I caught it a few times. If we're just talking about parents, yeah,
no, I never had my dad jack me up against the wall. That was my older brother that had to deal with that.
Dude, my older sister was bigger
he was
than
a pain
me,
in the ass.
but I was a
be
runt
honest.
though.
My brother was too smart for his own good.
Still is sometimes.
You call him a smart ass?
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey, I mean, I'd say to his face too, so.
He'd be like, that's why I get paid the big bucks, right?
He'll be like, well, I mean, he's not wrong. Actually, he probably would say that.
Technically speaking.
I know, right? Yeah. But again,
study, physics, properties of physics.
Yeah, it's demented and sad and somewhat social, but
it is social.
Really. I mean,
demented and sad, but social.
It's a little antisocial, pushes people away sometimes, I feel.
So what, you load up, you party.
I mean, I try to.
I mean, we dress up and,
I like to be fun. I'm a lot more entertaining when I'm on the sauce.
This thing is really getting my ears, man.
Is it?
Yeah.
Or is it your ear? The humidity's up, bro. I'm telling you, your ears are swollen.
It's quite possible.
Tell you, man, you got elephantitis of the ears.
Okay. Just all right.
How do you walk around with those things?
I
looking like a Mr. Potato Head.
I have people.
I have ear people. Oh, you got ear people money?
I've got ear people money.
Your ears hang low. Do they wobble to and fro?
I can tie them in a knot and a bow.
Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental soldier?
Sometimes I can.
Wait, what are we talking about now?
My ears.
Is that how you've been paying your bills, bro?
Well,
it's a safe space. You can let it out.
This is a safe space.
Yeah,
this is a public but safe space.
Dude, it's tree of trust here. This doesn't go past you or me.
I've fallen from the tree of trust. You've reminded me of this before.
I hit every branch on the way down.
It hurt.
Yeah, I know, because your face is killing me.
I know, seriously. Just line them up. We'll just line them up. I'll line them up. You knock them down.
Yeah, we press record. They press play. That's
how you quote yourself.
I mean, somebody has to. Yeah, it's not going to quote itself. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I am my best fan.
This is a Persian missile chip.
I didn't think it was a Wells dick, honey.
Chet.
My name is you.
My name is
Chip. Oh. Yeah, but first I'd like to better know you, Muffin. Dude, that was the freaking on-air daytime dubbing of it because, Butter Your Muffin was too risque. Same station that changed Eat My Shorts to Eat My Shocks because it didn't quite sing correctly.
It sounds stupid and it's in the wrong voice. That's the worst part. It's like, could you just beep it and then I'll be fine? Just beep it out.
But I don't understand what Eat My Shorts. What? It's not the F-bomb.
But I'm saying, if it still bothers you as a whatever, distribution company that you're working for, that you have to follow certain rules, fine.
But see,
beep it out. But don't ruin it by putting in somebody else's voice that doesn't even match, saying a word that makes no sense.
Well, to me, it's more like, I get that, bitch, shit, F-bombs, and, okay, cool. But shorts? Really? I think they even dubbed over, Float a Biscuit. Like they changed that too.
Like why?
Because they know you're talking about 14. Oh, it's like, what? Yeah, right? Like,
that's why it's called shits and giggles, man.
Poopies and ha-has.
Just say it.
Dude, but that's what I say now because I think I find that more hysterical than shits and giggles, poopies and ha-has. Because then people are just like, yeah, wait, what? Like their brain registers like, yeah, we're good. And it's just like, wait, no, that's not what he said though.
He didn't actually say shits and giggles.
Yeah, but that's what he meant. But he didn't. That's so weird. Yeah, like my one dad joke, I did a lead in to Genesis I Can't Dance. Where I was like, I'm going to take you there, but however, I have to tell you this. And then it's just like, and it's just like, oh, your brain should instantly pop in. I can't dance. And it's like, yeah, you just finished the joke. Welcome to the party, pal.
Dude, the party pal.
No, we're not talking about party pal. This is.
You got to always bringing him up.
No, I bring up John McClane and Die Hard because it's a fantastic movie.
And then you say something like party pal.
You know, I'm quoting, and then you go there. It's not me. This is you.
I feel like that should
Stop
be a thing.
projecting.
I feel like it should be a thing.
Stop projecting.
I feel like there's money on the table that we're not getting here.
Well, then you get your little ass out there on the street corner.
No,
and make
it's
it work.
not. Dude, I told you. Party Pal is a serious business. It
So
is
is
not a
escorting.
prostitution.
Hey, some of those very nice people are going to college and paying their own way. I'm just
I
saying.
mean, like, seriously, somebody who's been around town, not somebody who's been around town.
So then the fact is that I'm experienced. I can't have this job now. Is that what you're
I
discriminating?
mean, Lumberg fucked her.
Hell, Lumberg. What? What?
But aren't you only better at this job when you are more experienced?
But that's what I'm saying. He just he like classified and said, you know, you can't be around. You've been around town. You haven't been around town. So if I had been around town, air quotes, then I can't be a party pal. I'm excluded from that. Thanks. I see how
It's not an escort service, man.
Now you're gonna tell me I can't get a happy ending at my massage.
I can't tell you what to do on your own time. I'm just saying.
See, the way you word it sounds like escort, which means prostitute. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, of course, it would have to be a limited liability corporation.
What it'll say on your credit card is happy time fun good stuff.
That's not what I want. That's like the worst. It should say like dry cleaning or.
I got nothing.
HVAC services.
HVAC services. Why does he keep getting his pipes cleaned? I don't understand. The chimney, we're not even using it. It's summertime.
It hurts.
Why do we need the chimney? Keep cleaning his pipe. I don't get this.
Oh.
Oh, is that? Oh, I'm sorry. Was that a euphemism?
Oh. Just show my O face.
Focus! Focus!
Jump around. Jump around.
You know, I feel like I might have to play me some House of Pain. I know I'm going to play Everlast. That's for sure. On the music show.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man.
Follow you.
Like I might.
I told you, as long as it's in context, I don't think it'll be a problem.
But that's what I'm saying.
I mean, obviously, don't, but you wouldn't anyway.
What's that?
I mean, you don't push the issue.
Oh, of course not. No.
I mean,
That's
all
not-
music should be represented equally.
And that's why I really like the educational aspect where it's like, hey, let me play you the sample song. Here's the song that, it came from. And then so you can get that comparison. It's like, hey, this is the OG and this is, the mashup off of it. Because, even that one, dude,
I have to start just giving you
Jump Around. The freaking the opening bram, 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 that's a whole other track. That's from like 1940s, I think, blues. I forget the band and the song. I knew this because I've looked it up at one point.
saying this before and after show would be so awesome.
But that's what I'm saying is I can have a segment
like a skit. Yeah.
Well, I can do it as a set where I can give you the OG and then the new one and then an OG and the new one, OG, new one. It's like I could literally just put that in the middle of the show or something, or if I do go to that 3-hour set, then, because I'm also trying to get local music as well and, help to promote that. I mean, dude, freaking, I love being on DIM. This is a dope spot.
To me, that's true music appreciation. If you can appreciate the fact that like Nina Simone's song became a rap song, or not a rap song, but a hip hop song. Like,
Well, and there's many others.
James Brown, probably the most common.
But that's what I'm saying is like there's so many places to show this, and that's why the show's called Music Evolution, for crying out loud. It's the experience of evolutionary progress of music, where it came from and where it's going. But just, pretty much doing, I guess, like this, this in the previous millennia. So, only.
Or play like a Led Zeppelin track and then play like the Beastie Boys track.
Well, because I certainly do talk about that stuff, and I say where these songs have been sampled from or to, or and that's why I'm like, yeah, I would very much. I'm looking forward to popping those on here and there. That's why I'm like, I think the likelihood is I will be going to a 3-hour set, but I want to get myself comfortable with pumping out these 2 hours where it's just bing, 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 nice and easy. so that when I get comfortable enough with all that kind of talking, dispersing information, that it's just like it spreads itself out. Where, yeah, dude, 3 hours is definitely, because I mean, originally it was only supposed to be an hour-long show.
Yeah.
In hip hop evolution,
Right.
you know, so it's like to me, it's
just
comical
take a double
that
block, you know, just
they do it. It just went to like 2 hours, and now it's like, you know, it really should be 3.
like, bro, you're just gonna have me on all day? What's going on?
Well, and that's the thing is, like, now at this point we have, I think 6 nights out of the week we have live programming at night on DIM. Like, dude, that's dope shit, bro. And we've all been like listening to each other and pumping each other up and like giving shout outs and stuff. Awesome. Oh, it's super dope. Heck yeah, man. Yeah, I shout out freaking Jerry and Adam on my next set. It's gonna be awesome. Because I mean, this is a great experience. I mean, especially doing what we're doing now. I mean, having this platform to say that we're on a radio station is, you know, that was huge for us. You know, we were just starting out, and you know, here we are, like well over a year later of doing it with the same state. And it's just like, dude, we've only gotten better at this. I think our conversations are only more hilarious and thought-provoking simultaneously.
I like when I'm able to get in the mood and the mindset where, like, we're back on day one, where if you remember, I was like, I don't care if nobody listens.
Yeah, I was like, only 5 people. I was like, well, there's 3 of us already, so more than halfway there.
And then, yeah, you and me.
Saved all of these people. You're like,
that's such a dream of mine. You know what I mean? Like,
but dude, and that's the thing is,
like the music from Bill and Ted, like it would just save the world. It brings world peace. You know, like
God gave rock and roll to you.
Like,
put it in your soul.
Thinking, what a concept. I mean,
you're right. I did like Bill and Ted's the Third, where they actually wrote that song and played it, and it was awesome.
Best out of 7.
Damn straight. Do love me some Bill Sadler. That guy's dope.
Damn straight.
I mean, he played a dope Grim Reaper, man. Even like the 2nd and the 3rd, like even on his comeback, like.
And I got to go back with what you said last time. You know who I am. Say it.
Say my name. Heisenberg. Damn right. And just turn around, and walk away.
Oh,
dude, sociopath.
Perfect comedic timing that last time too.
Dude, oh man, I was listening to one of our episodes from the other week, and it was where we were going back and forth, like getting into, it was a green room episode, like we were warming up and whatever, and somehow or another we got onto the freaking Lil Jon thing. Where it was just like, what? And then both you and I had the simultaneous, like, okay. And then freaking JD is just laughing her ass off in the background. I do that. We pretty much, I feel like half the time of that episode, it was just laughing.
She was trying to say something serious too.
Man, I forget what we were talking about. But she was adding on to
though.
it.
We were like, we just kind of had like a little side spastic something.
Really we tangented so hard that we nose dove, like dive bombed
just what?
Right into Lil Jon. Okay. Yeah, simultaneous. It's stereo.
It's a beautiful thing. You can't plan this. You really
I mean, you could, but why would you want to?
It would be fake. It would be wrong.
That'd be a sad existence, whoever wrote this show.
In my eye, in my ears.
It
would be wrong.
Dude, on the one episode of freaking Music Evolution, I was like, I see you listening to me, enjoying this.
Up here I do. In my own head.
Dude, I'm really starting to more than just enjoy it. I'm finding it a great release. Because being able to produce it is fun and enjoyable, but re-listening to episodes, you know, not even just the music that I'm picking, but hearing me talk about it, I crack me up, bro. And it's better than listening to my voices in my head. So if it's on the stereo, it's like,
it's always, I don't know, it's always a different experience when you can hear your own voice.
I mean, I don't have a problem with my own voice. I don't think I sound like a mate. Oh my God. Like, oh Jesus. Oh, I need something to know. I don't need some of this, but I don't think I have a bad voice. Yeah, do I want some of this hot fire? Yeah, dude, I do want some of this hot fire. I think my voice is enjoyable. You know, it's not overpowering, but it's not underwhelming. Like it's something where you can, it's comfortable to listen to. It's not off-putting in a sense.
Just as sexy as my voice.
Yes, I am as sexy as my voice makes me out to sound.
I would never say that.
Yeah, I remember saying that. Dude, total Rick James moment on that shit. Oh my God. Dude, Reese. We got to get Reese back on. Reese. Yeah, dude, Reese is coming back. I actually just talked to him about it.
Yeah, me rolling.
Yeah, he's next time we are in Studio B, because it's easier for him. He'll make it back out again. So we'll.
Wait, does that mean tequila?
I think it's his turn to buy.
That's what I'm saying. He's like something about the third time. I'm like, this would be the third time, wouldn't it? Or
yeah, I think that's what he said. He said third time I'll have to bring tequila. So I'm like, hey.
I mean, I'm not going to hold you to that, but you know, wink, wink.
I know it's kind of a verbal contract. I have it allegedly said. I'm pretty sure that's you. But yeah, no, he said that. Yeah, and a Neho, so he knows what to get.
Oh, we had a whole conversation about it.
Yeah, I know. Dude, and then he calls me up the next day and he's like, fuck you, Neho. It's like, oh, how was your training class? I didn't go. It's like, oh, really?
It's not juice, bro. Juice.
Oh, dude, he was like standing around. He's like, oh, my car will be here in like 5 minutes. I'm going to have another one. I was like, dude, enjoy it all you want, bro. It's a party, pal. See, now that one was intentional.
Don't vomit in the Uber, yo.
Oh, bro.
That's somebody's car.
People be doing that, though. I don't.
That's why I don't know if I could drive people in my own car. They won't let you get a beater either. It has to be in like a certain condition and clean and
yeah.
You know,
I mean,
like you vomit in my car. That's like I just lost a lot the next hour. Like I'm done. I can't do anything.
Kind of, yeah.
I got to clean my car now.
And then maybe,
dick. Like what?
I mean, who says you have to clean it? You say step over that. No, just put.
Look, it just happened. I need money.
Put down this shirt.
I'll clean it tonight. Don't worry. Just put some newspaper down.
Just sprinkle some freaking.
What's that, Adam Sandler?
No pine shavings.
Just put some newspaper on it.
I have Big Daddy.
Yeah.
But I wipe my own ass.
That's great, kid.
Frankenstein. You know, Canadian beers like moonshine. Hell yeah.
Can't use the bathroom unless you're a paying customer. Oh, okay. All right. Let's just pee over this wall right here.
But yeah, no, it's
Is it?
It's time to go now, Mac.
It is time
to go now, Mac.
What? Mac?
It is. It's time to go now, Mac. It is time
to go now.
To go now,
Mac.
Yeah, someone got distracted by the repeater. That will happen. That will happen. Yeah, but no, it is time to go because that will happen.
Well, whoa.
Yeah, this is I'm telling you, I'm Philly D.
Mr. Gemini.
Clickety clack effect, check on Miss JD.
Yeah, and we always tell you, hey, reach out to us, ITY, directionsinmusic.org, individually, GEMINI at directionsinmusic.org.
Or Philly D, PHILLY D at directionsinmusic.org.
Yeah, please reach out to us because we do love getting those conversations, and we love reaching out and talking to our people. And as always, fam, you know, hey, be good to yourself, be good to everyone else.
Much love.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.